Hello and welcome back to Rolly's Wheels. Now what have we got for you today? Well, we've got something different again. Today we're driving a Kia Stonic. It's got a 1 litre TDGI engine, quite an economical engine, but with it being turbocharged, the 1 litre engine is quite well boosted and it's quite peppy. An ideal car to not only use as a local commute shopping car, but also to do longer distances. It really is quite good. The same with most cars. There are very good points, and there are some points that may not be to everybody's liking, and there might be some points that you might find a bit annoying. So let's just start with looking at the layout of the car itself, which I'm going to go into more detail when we pull over and we can walk around the car. The steering itself is a lovely soft touch leather bound stitched steering wheel, and the layout of the speedometer and the rev counter and all the gauges for your fuel and temperature are all nice and easily laid out. The seating in the car is quite comfortable. The driving seat and its position is actually very good, and for this sort of size of car, I don't think there's much of a problem at all, and you can travel reasonable distances in it without feeling uncomfortable. The back seat also gives you enough space for rear seat passengers, and the boot space actually is remarkably spacious. The seating position allows you to see all the way around the vehicle. There's very good visibility. These pillars are not too proud or thick, so you know, when you're maneuvering around roundabouts, you want to turn sharp corners and so on, they're not in your face. They're built in such a position that you can see around them for safety. I would say the gearbox is quite a good gearbox. It's reasonably positive, but talking about some of the points that perhaps I would criticize this vehicle for is it has a 6-speed gearbox, and I personally think that it could have been sufficient for just 5. You get the impression that when you're driving the car, you're forever changing the gears, and I think that maybe the gearbox should have been set up to a particular fashion to be able to give you more torque with each gear and not necessarily have to use so many gears to propel the vehicle along, but that's my personal opinion. The car actually can suffer from a clutch judder, and this is when you're actually moving off from start, particularly when the engine is cold, and it seems to reappear after not using the vehicle for 3 or 4 days, and if it's particularly damp environment, weather that is, you jump in the car and you'll move forward and you'll get a little bit of a judder, almost as though the clutch is slipping slightly, but that's a bit of an annoying point on some of the vehicles. But having said that, the weight of the clutch is nice. The gearbox is very nice in being able to sort of position in first, second, third and fourth. I've got no problem with that at all. The car itself, when it's riding, cornering on country roads, because the Stonic Maxx, which this is the Max version, is on a sort of sporty feel. So basically you're having a sports setup. The suspension is a bit stiffer. It has actually quite decent size wheels, which I want to show you after, and I'll show you the size of them and the spoked finish, which I think is particularly nice. And it's set up from a point of view that the ground clearance is a little bit greater, so it's quite good from a visibility point of view. I would say this is a marvelous car to drive. So when you're just tootling along as well, it's quiet. I've got no grumbles with the engine noise at all. It pulls well, and no matter what speed you're doing, it's very quiet. In fact, if you're traveling on the motorway, you're doing 70 miles an hour on the motorway, it cruises incredibly smoothly and effortlessly. So out of a 1 litre turbo charged engine, I think they've made a very good job with the power. So as always, in order to be able to help explain more about the vehicles that I am driving on my channel, we're going to pull up further down and we're going to take a little walk around the car so that you can see a little bit more of what I was explaining. And also I think you'll appreciate this car comes in a 2-tone colour, and it's quite nice actually. It's white and metallic red, and a lot of people have been seeking this particular combination of paint colour, which sets it off very well and is very, very sporty. So we're going to pull up now and we're going to go around the vehicle in more detail. Okay, so let's take a little look at the car. This one is white. It's got a red, metallic red roof. The Stonic Maxx gave you this combination, and also if you take a look at the wheels, they have almost like a charcoal metallic finish, which is very, very nice. I quite like the way they've done that. There's 17-inch alloys on this one, and you can see how the car sits up a little bit more off the ground, so you've got that ground clearance. The car has electric folding wing mirrors, and if you come around here you can actually see there is a button on the inside of the driver's door, which you press, and when you press that they actually fold in. Very, very useful if you're parking in tight spaces or you don't want anybody to clip your wing mirrors while they're parking. The car comes with electric windows, front and back. The electric windows buttons are on the driver's door, and you can actually lock the windows as well. And you've got the electric adjustable wing mirrors, so you've got for left and right. If you want to adjust the left wing mirror, you toggle it to the left, toggle it to the right for a right wing mirror adjustment. So you've got up, down, left and right. Very, very simple, very, very simple indeed. And I do like the finish of the interior door handles. It's like an anodized alloy finish. So if we take a little look at the back of the vehicle, if you take a look straight from the back, the finish of the car, I think it looks quite nice. It's got a rear spoiler which overhangs the rear window with a rear brake light built into the spoiler. You've got your roof aerial, which is quite nice. It's got lovely roof rails, so if you wanted a roof rack to put on their roof box, you can easily fit that onto it. Quite a nice feature. It gives a feature of a slight off-roader to have all these sort of things. It's quite nice. Coming back round to the rear of the car, you can see the finish across this bumper line. They put a very nice silver plastic finish to the bottom of the bumper with a very nice, quite large exhaust tip, and quite large for the size of engine of this particular vehicle. It's got rear parking sensors, and it's got a rear parking camera as well, rear view camera. So it's very, very nice. We're going to demonstrate that to you after when we put in reverse. Makes life a lot easier when you come to maneuver in tight spaces. So as I mentioned earlier, this is the Stonic Maxx TGDI. It says on the back of the boot. We're going to take a little look in the back of the car itself, and as I mentioned, the boot space is quite generous. You've got the split rear folding seats to give you that extra space, and obviously this parcel shelf will come out, so the loading area is virtually, it's more than doubled actually when you fold those seats down. And you have a space saver underneath the carpet in the boot. Another lovely feature of this vehicle is it's got the tinted windows for the rear passengers, so you've got some form of security with putting things on the back seat. People can't see too easily through that window, but also from point of view of sun shading for rear seat passengers, it is quite tinted, so that is quite nice. So let's take a little closer look at the knee space in this car. You can see, looking at the seats there, a leather finish, pseudo leather finish. In this one it's black, and you can see the sort of stitching in around the headrests and around the seats, and it's quite a soft touch. It's very nice. And I'll go and sit in the back and I'll show you how much room you have in the car, and that's with this front seat set to my size. I'm actually 6'1", so I'm quite a leggy individual. So I'll just show you. For a car of this size, it's quite decent, and even the headspace in here with my height, I find it's very acceptable. It's very, very roomy for such a size car, and comfortable. The back seat is quite comfortable. You've got headrests for the middle and either seat passenger at the rear, and it's the doors actually shut quite nicely, very nicely. They just clunk shut very, very nicely. So coming to take a closer look at the front, you can see it's actually got fog lamps built in, which is a very nice feature because it's a sports model. Some sport model cars don't have built-in fog lamps, but these are fog lamps that are built in. It does have running lights, and the strange thing about it is I've discovered that if you pull the handbrake up and you've got the car in park, the running lights don't come on. But as soon as you release the handbrake, the running lights come on. And this is probably a feature in a lot of other vehicles, but I just thought I would just mention that. They have clear lenses, and they look very, very nice, these the lights. And obviously when you're turning sharp left or turning sharp right, you have illumination which illuminates across to the right hand quarter or the left hand quarter, so it helps visibility when taking sharp corners. So let's go through some of the finer details of the setup inside the car. And let's start with looking at the dashboard. You can see there's very, very good ventilation. You have a lot of vents from the passenger side. You've got two really for the passenger and two for the driver. You've got the vents on top of the dashboard for help cleaning or clearing mist away from the side windows. Very useful, and actually they do work incredibly well. And I have to say that when the windscreen does steam up, it clears rapidly as soon as you put the air conditioning on, and you've got the blower, which is this knob here, obviously for increasing or decreasing, which is very easy and simple to use. Obviously the adjustment for hot and cold, which is very simple. The adjustment from your windscreen to your windscreen and footwell only, footwell face and to the face only, is just a simple turn of the switch. Very easy. You've got your hazard warning light switch. This actually illuminates when you drive or you start driving off in the car, the doors lock, and that will then illuminate just to tell you that the doors are locked. This little light comes up obviously to tell you your seatbelt is not fastened. I'm not driving along at the moment, I'm just sitting here in this car park, so that's fine. But it will actually sound and make an audible sound when you're driving or starting to move away at a certain speed, like most cars do these days, to tell you to fasten your seatbelt. Looking at the steering wheel now, before I move on to the infotainment system, the steering wheel controls are quite easy to use. You've got, once you've plugged in your mobile phone into the USB connector, you have the access to your mobile phone. You can see here, you just press the button and you can actually make a call by pressing the button, and it actually activates your iPhone, and you can obviously call up a number like you would normally do for Siri. And you've got the volume control button. You can mute or you can volume up and down. This actually toggles from station to station. Again, you've got the phone button here, and you can cancel a call. And this button here, when pressed, if I press it, you can look at the infotainment system, and if you look across in this area here, this actually is playing off my iPhone because I've got my iPhone plugged into the USB port. But when you press it, you just watch what happens now. You can toggle, this is the classic FM on your radio. You can toggle again to other radio channels, or you can then toggle onto your iPhone, so you can listen to your iPod or iPhone music. So taking a look on this side of the steering wheel, if you take a closer look, there's a mode button, and the mode button, if you look at that and then you look at the dashboard at the front, particularly in this area at the top, as I press it, so what it's doing is it activates your cruise control, so you can regulate your cruise control once you've set it. You can increase it or decrease it with the plus or minus button on the steering wheel. But if I press that again, you can limit it, and you then go back to your range of fuel in the tank. We've got 70 miles left of fuel in this tank. If you also look at the button here that looks like 2 sheets of paper, if you press that button, take a look at the dashboard now, and you keep on toggling it, you can see that we've got various settings, door lights, convenience, service intervals. You can alter all of that, or you press it again and it gives you your 7.4 miles. It's got your miles per gallon, and you can set all those to how you want them. But this is just sort of going to various you can just toggle up and down convenience, other features, language. You can change the language, you can reset settings as well, and that's for the door locking system, so you can unlock or lock it. But anyway, we're going to come out of that. We're going to go back to our original point where we can, let's go back, there we go, that's where we started off. We actually got a temperature gauge, which is outside temperature, which is now at 12 degrees, and this particular vehicle has, we've got on this side, actually we've got on this right hand side, you can actually raise or lower your lights as well. So if you've got a load in the boot, you can actually drop your lights so the lights are not in oncoming vehicles face. So you can actually do that. And also you can set your tire pressures with this button that comes up on the dashboard, and can monitor your tire pressures. So if anyone is dropping, you can set it to the correct pressure, and that will allow you to understand if it's dropped. It'll alarm you to tell you that your tires need inflating. And then we've got this on off. This is the anti skid controls. Obviously it's your limited slip style of motoring, so you can undo it or put it on if you've got particularly slippy conditions. So we're looking at the sticks here. We've got a setting on the sticks on the lighting side of things. Here you've got headlights are on, that side lights, but you can put it on auto, so it'll actually come on automatically when it's called for lighting, which is very nice. And you've got fog lights on this toggle switch as well. You can put them on off, and obviously there's turn signals, and this turn signal is a one touch up, so you can actually just touch it and once slightly and it'll do it obviously signal 3 times. Just touch it, it'll signal 3 times again on the left side. And we've got the wipers on this right hand side, very easy to use. We've got a number of settings to increase the speed of the wipe, the intermittent wipe, and obviously you've got an automatic wipe system too, so you can change that. And you've got the rear wiper and also water jet for the rear window on that stick too. So looking back at the car again, you've got an armrest here, which is quite nice. It's a little cubby hole. It's not a bad size. You can put all sorts of things. Quite deep actually, believe it or not, deeper than I thought. And what I like about this is it's quite adjustable, so you can slide it backwards and forwards, so depending on where you want it, it's quite nice. If you want to access your cup holders, we've got 2 bottles of drink in here. The cup holders are quite spacious, and they're quite tall, so they don't fall out of their place when you put some bottles in here. So look at these 2 buttons here, just forward of the gear lever. This one here, this button, you can turn off, and that relates to the automatic handbrake. So if you're on a slope and you come to the traffic lights, you want to take off from the lights and it's on a hill, the moment when that's in that position without being switched off, it will stop you from rolling back. But you can override that by pressing that, and it actually allows you to roll back if you want to. This button here, that's the automatic turning off of the engine, so it's a stop start technology. And you can override that. If you're happy, you can carry on and drive the car. You'll come to a standstill, it'll turn off the engine to save on emissions and saving the planet. If you want to override it, you've got that button, you just press it and it stops the car from turning off at stationary. So all in all, I believe the Stonic is a very practical car. It's a good looking car. There are very few things that I would say I dislike about it. As I mentioned before, the one point that I am not particularly happy with is the clutch every now and again having a bit of a judder. But the gearbox is good. I personally feel it really only needed 5 gears on a gearbox and the size of a vehicle like this. But again, it's very economical. The car has a 1-litre turbo engine and it goes very, very well. So for all of those people who are interested in a Kia Stonic, I would highly recommend it. And thank you all for watching. Please remember to subscribe to my channel, and always keep an eye open, because we're going to have some more interesting cars from a different range, from small cars to much larger cars, and we'll be taking them out for a review. So keep watching. Thank you very much.